Hey everyone, so just want to talk about shooting steel safety. Now we've got a couple pieces of our steel as well as this random piece of metal we happen to found here at the range when we rolled up. So really want to talk about safely shooting for yourself as well as safely shooting for your steel so that it'll last longer than just one range trip. So when it really comes to shooting steel, there's a lot of variables that you really want to take into account so that you are making sure that you aren't going to be hurt or someone else being hurt. Now, obviously, quality of steel is important as well as the setup of that steel. So when thinking about it, especially when we have something like these torso or just certain size targets, you're really looking at how the stand is or how the holder is for that steel target with the angle and things like that. If you're just using regular ammo, then you're going to be shooting it and you want to make sure that nothing is coming back at you. So obviously the quality of that steel is important as well as the angle of it, so that the steel is actually maybe angled down some instead of just flat straight at you, so that when it's impacting, it's basically impacting and then going down instead of possibly impacting and coming right back at you. Another thing is that with that you have the possibility, if you want to, it can be pricier, but use a different type of ammo, and using frangible ammo actually is very beneficial for steel, because when it comes to shooting steel, there is a certain distance that you want to not really get closer than, which is another thing when it comes to thinking about shooting steel safely. So a lot of steel, when you are shooting pistol, when you're shooting rifle, they have different offsets that you really don't want to be closer than, because then it can still be coming back, or you can get at least some of it, not obviously the full bullet, but maybe fragments or things like that. Whereas with frangible ammo, you can actually get closer, really quite close, because when those frangible rounds are actually hitting the steel, they're basically just breaking completely apart, because the rounds have been set up to do that, so that you're lowering the risk of anything coming back at you way down. So that's a really cool thing that you guys can incorporate with shooting steel, is you shooting frangible ammo, so that instead you're not having as high a risk, or just you're able to come a lot closer if you want to. Another thing is, when thinking about quality steel and wanting your steel to last longer than one range trip, is being able to know what your steel is able to take. So as in different rounds, as in think of maybe handgun rounds compared to rifle rounds or things like that. Some steel might just take 22 long rifle and that's it. Anything else, it might just either really put a lot of divots into it, or it might just punch through it. And obviously if you're thinking of being able to just get that audio reaction back from it or things like that, or obviously it being a full whole piece of steel instead of start getting holes in there, you don't want to exceed whatever your steel is able to take. Others, they can take certain pistol calibers, but then if you're getting into higher rifle calibers, things like that, obviously because of the velocity or maybe the size of the bullet itself or different things like that, it's going to just still punch through that steel and not actually hold it. Some of them will not necessarily punch through it, but it will start just chipping away at it slowly but surely, which in one aspect is not letting your steel last as long as it could, or also just because instead of the steel being a flat face, it's starting to give it these little cavities and little divots in there, and so then those rounds that you're shooting at might be hitting it, and it suddenly is changing the angle compared to maybe it was just a flat face of your steel angled down at a certain angle. Instead, because of those little divots in there and different angles, the steel basically that you're shooting is now possibly at a different angle. Maybe if you're hitting at the bottom part of the divot or something like that of just one round, it's actually now kind of angled up or something like that, so it's a higher risk of it and things like that. Something to think about is it might be the same round that you think of, and this is a perfect example of like a 223 or 556. You might think, okay, the steel can take it, so I can just grab whatever, any type of that caliber, and I'll be good. But as a lot of people know that actually shoot steel, the green tip for 556 will actually punch through certain steel, or just really create those cavities, those divots in there, and that can be a problem. That's what happened with this one here, and so we had to change that. Someone that was shooting the steel on us was shooting green tip without our knowledge until the end. And so now you really have to take into more consideration of, okay, now we're really going to think about even further distance, as well as thinking about how this steel is not going to last as long as we originally wanted it to. So these are a lot of the factors that you really want to think about it. And we really have even the fully punching through is this prime example right here. This is just really a piece of metal, not really a steel that would be completely used for shooting. You can see like these holes that are completely punched through, or there's even just some divots and things like that. And so really making sure that you are taking into the factors of your quality steel, what will that steel take, as well as what rounds you're shooting, and what the different types of bullets necessarily, just like green tip or something that might be different and might not actually be up to the same quality as that steel, and things like that, as well as your different distances or angles, things that is all those things, guys, that you want to take into account so that you can continue for shooting steel safely.